Welcome back to Medicare Connect Radio, sponsored by Millennium Physician Group. I'm Michelle McCormick. Every week, we're talking about the healthcare issues that are important to you, whether you're 65 or older, approaching 65, or maybe you're making healthcare decisions for a loved one in their golden years. We're inviting providers and experts to share insights to help you take control of your healthcare decisions. Well, the week of September 18th through 24th has been designated Fall Prevention Week nationwide to help raise awareness that falls can be prevented. In this segment, we're talking with an expert about how to make our homes and therefore our lives a little bit safer. Joining us now is Carol Chang from Evolving Homes. So Carol, welcome to the show. So happy to have you here. First off, give us a little bit of background about you and how Evolving Homes became a thing.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me. I'm Carol Chang. I'm an occupational therapist. I have about 25 years experience doing OT, and in Jacksonville my experience is inpatient rehab and a lot of home health, because what I really love to do is see people in their natural environments, not this perfect, open space plan in a hospital where people go, I'm fine, what are you talking about?
Right.
So Evolving Homes started because with Medicare reimbursements changing, I wanted to be able to provide people with an option to have Ask an Expert in their house, meaning, what do I need to do before somebody comes home from the hospital? What can I do in advance so it's not this huge emergency as soon as they come out and we're trying to figure out everything all at the same time. So what can we do before that? So my biggest thing that I do, virtual consultation. Come, call me, let's talk, tell me what the issues are. I am a professional problem solver. That's what I do.
We all need somebody like that in our lives. No doubt. So, okay, all right, Fall Prevention Week.
Yes.
I mean, I think fall prevention is a daily thing for a lot of folks. Just tripping on the sidewalk can cause a fall. I was having a conversation today with one of my coworkers, and his wife took a fall last week, broke her nose, broke her thumb, and she's in her 60s. So, everybody falls. We watch little kids fall, but they're closer to the ground. So, they don't seem to be in as much trouble as we are when we fall at our age. But, is this one thing that you do a lot in your business?
Huge. And, falls don't have to be like this is the end, the start of the end, where it's all over. It's just a symptom. It's an indication. It's saying, hey, pay attention. Maybe that was just an accident. Right, maybe was on my phone and I didn't see that the curb was there. Bye-bye,
Guilty,
right? Yes, I have seen many phones slide across the sidewalk in all age categories.
Right.
But it is something to think about as you get older. To think, wait, did that happen because my vestibular system was off a little bit? Was maybe I thought that my leg was coming up high enough and my toe caught the curb. What is it? Let's dig deeper a little bit. So it's nothing to be scared of, but it's definitely something to consider, because falls is a big reason why people aren't able to stay at home. Because if you break something, you hurt yourself, you lose confidence in yourself. These are things that will perpetuate this and become part of your reality. You want to get ahead of this and say, whoa, which of these things was it? Was I not paid attention? Could I maybe up my exercise a little bit? Maybe my muscles have gone to sleep, my core. What is it that I can do to make sure that this doesn't happen again? And this is, in turn, will also make sure that I get to stay at home safely for as long as possible, and I don't feel scared to fall.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk a little bit later about retrofitting homes to make that possible for those people. But, what are some of the misconceptions maybe that is falling part of aging?
Oh my goodness, no. No. I mean, it shouldn't be part of aging. It's a little like my talk on incontinence. Is incontinence something that we should expect just because, you push out 10 babies, whatever? I mean, these are all muscles. Muscles in our bodies have the capability of getting stronger and holding everything together. So is it something that happens frequently as you get older? Yes. Is it something that you have to accept? No. So this is why that planning ahead part is building in those exercises, so that's your daily life. That becomes just part of your daily routine. You wake up, you stretch, you get limber, you do your exercises, you're done for the day. You get to enjoy your day. So you really need to have time to build that into a habit, because a lot of people lose that habit as they get older and busy. And
Yeah, movement is huge. Yeah, we definitely need to keep moving in a better way. Like, I agree. I think you have to stay stretched and you have to stay moving if you want to stay safe
right.
and prevent bad things happening to you.
Well, and even aside from that, you want to feel good. So stretching makes you feel like you can do whatever you want, but it also decreases pain. So you don't want to get to 50, 60 and not be able to do the things you like because your back hurts or your joints hurt or things have just gotten tight and it's just too much work.
Yeah, agreed. So what is there after a fall? What's the possibility of a second fall?
Huge. Yeah, I think it's 65% that you would have one in the next 30 days, 60 days. And that's why when people come out of the hospital, we watch them like a hawk. I mean, we that is really the time when you need to make sure that somebody's environment is safe, that you don't have clutter, you don't have things to trip on. I mean, those beloved rugs, we might have to have a conversation about just putting them aside for a little bit. Maybe they can come back out. Maybe it's time for redecorating. But it's really, really important that fear of falling often leads to those timid steps where you just kind of tiptoe over, and that alone is what causes more falls. So if you can't take these good, confident steps, then you're at risk of falls again.
Mm-hmm.
And then the more falls you have, the more scared you get, and the more scared you get, the less you want to move. And now we're talking about deconditioning. So now all those muscles we were talking about before, they really go on vacation. Right,
that makes sense. So what good is if you have a patient and they're leaving the hospital and they go home with a cane? Does that help or does that hinder?
Well, we always tell people whatever was recommended from the hospital, you need to keep that going. Because the hospital started the training, they started the fall prevention process. They started saying, okay, this is what you need, this is how you're going to use this is how you're going to stay safe. So bring it with you at all times. So the mistake that I see that happens a lot is people try to take those steps without their assistive devices, and sometimes that can lead to disastrous results. So I always just tell people it's just for safety for right now.
Right.
It's not forever. It's just to get you through this little bit to make sure that you don't fall again. And then we can talk about it in a few months about what changes that need to get done.
Right, and then you work with them to make those changes.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we'll talk about, okay, which component is it that we need to work on? Is it your environment? Is it your physical fitness? Is it your lifestyle? Maybe you need to drink more water to prevent the UTIs, to prevent the rushing to the bathroom. Is it not being able to get help when you need it on time, right? So you have to look at all of those in a big picture and say, okay, well, which of these things do I think is the most relevant in your situation? It's very individual and very preference based.
Well, okay, Carol Chang. She's from Evolving Homes. She's an occupational therapist. And coming up after the break, we're going to continue this conversation. We're going to learn more about how we can make our homes a little bit safer too, to prevent either a relapse or even a first occurrence.
Yes.
Let's stop it before it even happens, right? So you're going to want to stick around. Medicare Connect Radio, sponsored by Millennium Physician Group. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Medicare Connect Radio, sponsored by Millennium Physician Group. I'm Michelle McCormick. Every week, we're talking about the healthcare issues that are important to you, whether you're 65 or older, maybe approaching 65, or you're just making healthcare decisions for a loved one. We invite providers and experts to share insights to help you take control of your healthcare decisions. Well, the week of September 18th through 24th has been designated Fall Prevention Week nationwide to help raise awareness that falls can be prevented. Now, we're talking with an expert. Her name is Carol Chang. She's an occupational therapist from Evolving Homes. And Carol, we talked a little bit just now about fall prevention, but what we didn't touch on, and we did a little bit of this with Dr. Haddad Leclay in the first segment, but why do people fall?
Oh my gosh.
Especially, we talk about tripping.
Yeah.
We talk about texting on our phones while we're walking, but really, why do people fall?
Yeah, so multifactorial, right? It is not like one thing. It's not my legs are weak, my, I couldn't see, or the light, or accidental, right? So you have to look at this from a whole systems perspective. So what about your balance? Your balance is inside your vestibular system. Check your vestibular system. What about vision? If it's dark out, if you're trying to get to the bathroom in the middle of the night and you have a dim little night light on the way there, older eyes, I'm telling you, they just don't see that part as well, and that's okay. It is okay. You just have to adjust for it. Make bigger, brighter lights, but also go see your doctor. Go see, do I need a new prescription? Is my acuity the problem? Is it that I'm sensing something different? Okay, so your vision is important, your vestibular system is important, of course, muscle strength in all your components. What about your core? Is your stomach strong enough to be able to pull yourself back up again if you need it? What about your feet? Peripheral neuropathy. If you can't feel with the floor underneath you, how will you know if you stepped on something weird, or you can't sense that it's a gradation? Maybe you're coming down like the ramp a little bit. These are all things to consider. And if you don't look at all of those in together, you're missing the picture.
Yeah. What about like reflexes? I mean, like, especially
neuro stuff is really important.
Huge.
Yeah, right. And that's why you want to go see your primary care doctor, so that they can help you triage till you're going to the right place. So that you can go and get, a test for your inner ear and check and see, is it that? Is it glasses? Is it, something
medication?
Else? Is it medication? Yeah. Diabetes is a huge one, huge reason for any kind of like neuro changes like that too. So something to look for.
All right. So you mentioned poor lighting, clutter a little bit. I have a cat that likes to sleep in the middle of the floor. So when I get up in the middle of the night, I always have to make sure I don't trip over the cat. What are some other hazards around the house?
Yeah, and cats have toys
that
they drag around, and so do dogs, right?
Yeah.
The last thing you want is squeaky toy in the middle of the night, but outside of that, sometimes we're forgetful, we're tired, you kick off our shoes, they're right by the bed. The number of times that I've had to have a discussion about, okay, things have to go back to where they belong, where there's a place, is huge. Tripping over comforters, sheets, things that are dragging down there. Just this morning, I was talking to a Parkinson's group about things that they can adjust like that, because a lot of Parkinson's patients have to get up frequently in the middle of the night. When it's 3 to 5 times a night, they're starting to think about their spouse. They don't want to wake them up in the middle of the night. They feel like, okay, I just gotta sneak out there really quick and I'll come right back. But so many of them have told me they're putting their hands down and feeling to make sure that there's nothing down there. I was like, no, because there's such an easy solution. They make like these beautiful LED strip lights that go right underneath the bed. You plug them in, and it's motion activated. So the second that your feet touch the ground, boom, you get light at the low level, right? So that you can make sure, hey, did the cat bring something in? Did the dog come over here? I don't know, whatever, is something in my way? So you really want to light that path from bedroom to bathroom, so it's safe all the way, and if possible, always automate, always.
Wow.
Put in automatic lights, automatic this, and these days with home tech, I mean, you can have it all set up in a routine.
Yeah, do most of these falls happen at night?
A lot, yeah. Bedroom to bathroom is one of the number one areas for falls. And I would say urgency, that like we're kind of back to incontinence and stuff. And it's not even just incontinence. You could have a UTI and suddenly just need to go. That rushing is what gets people really in trouble. That they're just trying to get there before they have an accident. And they're, pulling down their pants, or they're tripping on their feet, or tripping on something that they normally would see. They always know that whatever lives right there,
right.
But just for that moment they're so focused on, I gotta get to the bathroom.
Well, and if you're waking up from a dead sleep usually, or your head's just, you're not there.
Yeah. And well, blood pressure is a huge one, right? Especially at nighttime, and you've been laying for 4 hours in a supine position, and you go from supine to sitting all the way up. A lot of people, their bodies just cannot process that change in blood pressure so quickly, and it's like 1, 2, 3, and then they're just on the ground.
Ooh. And then I imagine visual at night. I mean, we have the dark, of course, but how many of us are wearing our contacts or glasses at 3 a.m.?
Yeah. And so it's all of those things, right? So it's the blood pressure when you get up, it's the vision, like can I see where I'm going, right? And then it's also balance, right? Because now you can't use your eyes to compensate, so you depend on your inner ear to tell you, am I straight? Am I not straight?
True.
Is it left? Is it right? Proprioception. These are all neuro things that have interplay into this.
So what are other hazards that we need to look out for that aren't necessarily in the path of the bed to the bathroom, like throw rugs? Everybody likes their throw rugs, but
yeah, they do. They keep people's feet nice and warm. I totally get it. I get it. You know, I love them as well. But you know, a good alternative for a little while, and we don't have to talk long term, you know, because I think some people get freaked out when they think, you know, I have to put that grab bar up forever, and this walker is now part of me forever. You know, let's just take this on a short-term basis and look at it and say, okay, we're going to take that throw rug for now and just put it aside. We're going to get ourselves some nice, you know, solid shoes that can, you know, keep our toes warm. You know, Crocs make a really fuzzy, nice sock in there. I mean, they're beautiful, right? But it's got good grip underneath it. We'll use those to walk over. Maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks. Maybe you like it and you keep it. Maybe that throw rug can be taped down depending on what it is. You know, maybe the tassels can get a little trim, a little haircut.
Right.
It just depends. And you have to talk to that person and just say, hey, how attached are you to this thing? Can we like go and buy you a brand new, cool, low pile one that can be taped right down there and that can keep your toes warm? I mean,
yeah,
there are a million potential options to solve the problem, and it takes discussion to say, hey, what is it that's important to you and how can we change this? And maybe that's a back and forth.
Well, and I think that's interesting what you're saying too, because it really has to be either you're gonna fall or maybe we get rid of this rug. I mean, is it that easy?
I wish it were.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of the times when I do virtual consults, it is a lot of discussion with the client to, you know, help them get closer to the idea of this, because I think that maybe traditional family members are very either or, like either the rug is leaving the conversation.
Yeah.
There has to be some amount of conversation in this because it's still a person's life. It's still their choice. It's still their house. And you know what ends up happening is that, you know, that person who insisted that their rug leave, well, as soon as they leave, guess where that rug's going?
The rug goes back.
The rug goes back. So it has to be an open discussion. Let's just have an open discussion. And a lot of times I'm the mediator in here going like, okay, all right, we decided this one's not going. So what else can we change? Because something has to change. Otherwise, we're going to go back to the same thing.
Well, Carol, I think you had a really good point there. It's sometimes you just need that independent person to come in and say, let's have a conversation about this.
Yeah.
Because families can be too invested.
They are. Yeah.
You know, the loved one just wants their person to be happy and well and not fall.
Right.
But that person wants their rug.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of other dynamics going on in there. And sometimes the easiest thing to do is just say, hey, we're just going to call an expert, bring them in, see what they have to say. You know, you can decide what you think after that.
Yeah. And so what about being proactive with the physical fitness, financial planning, and what happens as they age?
So this is the thing that I tell people. If you're in your 80s, you know, you're probably getting closer to the I'm trying to just manage the situation as I am right now. Okay. But if you're in your 40s, even 50s, this is the time to be thinking about long term, because that is what will lessen the cost over the life of like what you're trying to do. So for example, every time that I have a bathroom, if I'm remodeling something, somebody's like, hey, I'm getting ready to like redo this. I just moved into this house. I'm like, whoa, okay. So here's your opportunity. You're pulling down all the drywall and everything. Make sure that you're putting blocking up everywhere. Because you know what? You don't know what you're going to need 20 years from now or 30 years from now. But if you know that you already planned ahead and spent the extra money to put the lumber between all the studs so that you could put up grab bars wherever you want, you know, that's a huge thing. Because you know what? It's not just old people that need grab bars. You know, if you fall skiing and you break a leg and now you're non-weight bearing for 3 months, guess who is like going to be using those things? Okay.
Right.
And we use them too. I live at the beach. And when I have sand on the bottom of my foot, I mean, and soap running around everywhere, I need to hold something. Yeah, and so they get used. They get used at my house. They get used at lots of people's who, have been interested in that idea of, okay, let's try to make this accessible. And once they get it up there, they're like, whoa, how did I do this before? It doesn't matter their age.
Are you seeing a lot of people retrofitting now?
Oh, yeah. I'm seeing a lot of, actually, what's really great is I'm seeing a lot of people who are being proactive planners. And they come to me and say, look, like I've done my tours of assisted living. I'm just not ready for that. Maybe not now, maybe never, who knows, but let's give me an idea of what it's going to take to make this space better. And I've built out bathrooms. I designed them from scratch. If we're taking everything down to the studs, we work together and figure out, okay, well, what orientation and how do we want a roll under sink? But if you're not in a wheelchair, why bother? I want storage more, so let's do that instead, or whatever. And picking out all the finishes to match all your current finishes, so the grab bar finishes can match what's fashionable right now and make it all look on purpose and cohesive and not sticking out like a sore thumb. And the beauty of the internet is that you can do this virtually. I'm actually building a bathroom right now in Gainesville, and we interviewed the contractors together and we debrief after, and maybe they say something that I don't totally agree with, and I'm like, let's look around. So we'll interview another one.
Mm-hmm.
And so I work for the patient. I'm their advocate, and I'm the person that has the expertise to say, well, maybe that's true, maybe not, and let's work together with it. So I'm in their corner.
Yeah, so Carol Chang is an occupational therapist and owner of Evolving Homes. And when we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with her about Fall Prevention Week and how we can keep our homes safer as well as ourselves. So stick around. The conversation will continue. Medicare Connect Radio, sponsored by Millennium Physician Group, will be right back. Welcome back to Medicare Connect Radio, sponsored by Millennium Physician Group. I'm Michelle McCormick. Every week we're talking about the healthcare issues that are important to you, whether you're 65 or older, approaching 65, or maybe you're just making healthcare decisions for a loved one. We're inviting providers and experts to share insights to help you take control of your healthcare decisions. Well, this week coming up, September 18th through 24th, has been designated Fall Prevention Week nationwide. And it's here to help raise awareness that falls can be prevented. Well, we have been talking with Carol Chang. She's an occupational therapist from Evolving Homes. But Carol, in addition to occupational therapy, right, which keeps you very busy, you're also a realtor.
Yeah.
So how do you help people find, especially older adults, downsizing, empty nesters maybe, people who want to age in place, for example? How do they find their forever home? How do you help them?
Well, I help them by figuring out how hard the home that they're looking at is going to be to adjust or adapt. Hopefully the gold standard is going to be that they're gonna send me a listing and I go, that's perfect, look, zero entry in there, look how big everything's already done. But you know what, that never happens.
No room for a throw rug. Okay.
Yeah, right. It just never happens. And especially, with such a tight market that we've had in the last little bit, there really isn't any choice, right? There's a ton of people who want to buy a house, there's nothing to buy. Mm-hmm. But we're really starting to notice that shift now. There are more houses coming on the market. It's becoming an option. So for a lot of patients who have reached out to me to say, look, I'm looking for my forever home, and our only choice has been to retrofit. It's only been to say, okay, well, can't buy anything out there right now, so it's not an option. But sometimes that cost can be really significant.
Right.
I mean, really.
You're talking about putting in grab bars. I mean, well, how expensive? I have tile on my walls in my bathroom. I can't even imagine putting in grab bars there.
It is really hard.
Yeah.
And any handyman that will come to you that says, oh, that's easy, you need to escort them out right now, because that is hard. They're trying to find studs through tile, through backer board, through all these things. It's tough. If they can see it from behind, maybe it's a better guess, but it's a risk to try to get those things in there. But even if you take down the whole thing to the studs, the 3 or 4 contractors that we've interviewed in the last, I'd say 6 months, so pretty recent information, we're talking $60,000 bathrooms here. Okay, it used to be $25,000. I'd say, okay, let's budget $25,000. That's where the financial planning of this comes in, because aging isn't cheap.
Right.
But construction is not cheap.
Right.
I mean,
and assisted living is not cheap.
No.
And independent living is not cheap.
None of them. So you have to have a solid financial plan for how you're going to pay for all these things as you age. So that's where, why I got my realtor's license, because they said, look, sometimes it's just not reasonable to be spending 60 grand on that, because really we could look at the house down the street that might be for sale, and we can use, like, maybe that house costs a little bit more, but it'll only cost $20,000 to retrofit. So people use those services in different ways. Either I will look for an accessible space for them to help them find that forever home, or it's a consultation. They just want expert eyes to look at this, and not just like their realtor or them just kind of guessing, like, well, what do you think about this space? I can look at it and say, here are the good points I see with this, and here are the parts that you'll probably need to do a little bit more digging to find out, like, what you could do, or if there's somebody that has the expertise to be able to switch that in for something you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so when you're looking at a home for an older adult couple or an older adult single person living alone who has cats and dogs, maybe, are you doing kind of like an eyeball assessment of the house and saying, that's a hazard, that's a hazard, that's a hazard?
Yeah. So my the thing that has been the most popular is age in place or find a new space. This is a virtual consultation that people will send me pictures of every single space in their house. And what I do is I basically do a whole home assessment. I go through all the pictures before I meet them, and I'm identifying out, like, that needs to move, this needs to go somewhere else, this furniture arrangement, let's talk about, like, potential, alternatives for it. What else? What spaces are you spending the most time in? And that way, when I'm meeting with them for the 60 minutes, a lot of times that can be, discussion about what the options are, and maybe a little bit of negotiation about which
what
parts
stays and what goes.
What stays, what goes, what's important, what's not, and then after that, then I send everybody all of the recommendations in writing and links to products, and just go ahead, DIY if you want, and if you want help, call me back and let's just talk. So I just try to meet them where they're at and gonna give them, like, whatever services that they need.
Yeah, we're gonna give away all your digits and information here in just a little bit, but there is something else that you do that for fall prevention. I love this about what your work is fitness poles.
Yeah.
These aren't just for hiking trails or skiers.
Yeah, they're literally called urban poles because they're built for our urban environment. So being on the sidewalk and on the grass even, and what the urban poles is doing, if you think about elliptical machines using both arms, both legs in an opposite motion, it is working your core. And what is the primary thing for getting up off the floor? You need your core. That is the reason why people can't get up. It's not because of knee strength or anything like that. It's that they don't have the stability in there in order to move their arms and legs to get up. So urban poling allows my patients to be able to work on the core without having to do those ab crunches because these are built specifically with a ledge on the edge of the hand, so that when you push down, every step that you're taking, you're pushing down and activating out the core, and then you keep going. And this is this can be an alternative for walkers and canes and rollators, and it's so much more natural. It's closer to your natural walking pattern instead of hunched over a walker, that forward flexion,
right?
And then people get resulting shoulder pain, back pain, all these things, right? Whereas this is saying basically, let's sit up really tall and support the upper body until you can be strong enough to do it. And let's go left, right, left, right. So it's really rhythmical. It's very relaxing. People love it.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I love seeing your photos with your groups out there doing this, and really just getting out there, being active, which is huge in the first place, and being social. For our older adults is very important, but yet building that strength at the same time.
Nobody loves to exercise, but you'll exercise. Yeah, and it helps with your balance. And actually the starting point of these poles is actually Parkinson's, for balance, specifically for getting up and down and being able to maintain balance, like the left and right walking, the weight shifting that you need for freezing gait. So, urban poles has a much bigger area inside of rehab than something that you're going to buy at REI.
Okay, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, Carol. So we have talked a lot about fall prevention, house retrofitting, forever homes. How do we get in touch with you?
Yep. So you can always email me, which is info@evolvinghomes.com.
And one more thing I wanted to bring up, and because I wasn't thinking of the buttons.
Dependence. Yeah.
Is that important for someone to have, especially if they're alone?
Yeah, you know, I think that you don't want to be an island in the middle of your neighborhood where you need help and you can't get help, especially if you live alone. You need a way to alert somebody how to help you. And this is, again, you know, I think it's a theme all the time, which is, what do I need? It depends. Depends on you. It depends if you're going to be primarily at the home, maybe something, a pendant is fine, right? The cost is less with those. But if you're the kind of person who can never remember to keep it charged, never remembers to put it on in the morning, that might not be for you. You know, you might be more like a voice activated kind of thing. But if you have a really quiet voice sometimes with Parkinson's, that might be. So that's a discussion about, you know, the pros and cons, but 100%, because if you lay on the floor for a day, 2 days, every hour that goes by that you can't help yourself, your confidence is eroding, and that is going to play into the fear of falling again.
Well, Carol, thank you so much for being here today. Carol Chang from Evolving Homes, occupational therapist, realtor. So appreciate your time and all your expertise today.
Thank you so much for having me.
The conversation will continue next time on Medicare Connect Radio. We also know you have questions about Medicare enrollment, and we have answers. You can go to yourmedicareconnect.com or always go to millenniumphysician.com. Also, you can find a primary care provider in your neighborhood by going to millenniumphysician.com. In good health, I'm Michelle McCormick. Have a great day.